Hello everyone, welcome to another video here. My name is Devin Adams. I'm a Fortinet instructor in Tempe, Arizona for Dynamic Worldwide, and I've been doing a series of videos on kind of setting up an NSE 5 lab using GNS3. Now I have some pretty neat things to show, at least I think they're neat. But I needed more FortiGates before I could do that. Now, it turns out that the FortiManager here does have 10 VDOMs or 10 devices that it can manage with the free license that we've been using here in our examples. So I went ahead and I added 2 more FortiGates to the picture. Now I was just going to bring them in so I could do my next demo, but I thought, you know what, I'll just go ahead and record this as a review. So just to kind of review from everything that we've done up to this point. So just a couple of things that I did off camera was this data center FortiGate is just like our remote FortiGate. So it is completely a blank slate, except for on its WAN interface, it does have FortiManager access enabled. All right, so the FortiManager can connect to it, and there's nothing else there. Okay, and then on this branch FortiGate is kind of like the remote FortiGate, but it's already in production. We're gonna just like pretend like we're taking it over management wise. So just a couple of scenarios there. So let's go ahead and do it. So our goal for this video is to bring in 2 of the additional FortiGates into our topology so we can start doing some more complex examples of provisioning our policy packages. And we're just going to go ahead and review what we've done so far. Let's do it. So let's go into our Windows PC here. All right. And we don't want the FortiAnalyzer. Instead, we want the FortiManager. So let's go to that IP address of 10. Oh, there it goes. 10.10.10.250. Okay. And yes, that nice little sign this cert. So admin, my super secret password, and now we're in. So let's go ahead and go to Device Manager. And let's bring in our first device. So I'm going to add a device, and we're going to use the IP address of 10.200.1. Now, because we are using the real internet in this lab, just something to keep in mind, we're just making believe that our 10.200 numbers are really public IP addresses that have been statically passed out by like an internet service provider. So just use your best imagination when it comes to that. And the admin does have to be correct there too with the password. So, and I don't believe I even put a password on that branch office, but let's see if it can't discover it. So, all right. There we go. So it did come over and it did find the host name, because remember this one we're pretending like it was kind of already in production. Okay. We could also do a description. Now what's neat about the system template, we already talked about our provisioning templates. We can have a provisioning templates that has all of the settings that we need to configure this. So right when you bring it in, we could drop that configuration. So maybe we'll do that real quickly before we do the data center one. Okay, but for right now, I'm just going to apply those DNS changes to let you know how it goes. Okay, and we're going to hit next. All right. And so right now it's going to take all of those different pieces of the FortiGates that's been in production and bring them into the FortiManager so we can centrally manage them. So it'll just take a moment to do that. All right. There we go. Your device has been successfully added. And now it's asking us, do we want to import in the policy packages? And last time we did not, but this time we will. So we'll say import now. All right. And let's see what these guys have been up to. So I like to rename this branch FortiGate to initial, so we know that it's the first policy package that's come in. So I really don't know what objects they're using, so I'm actually going to try to keep my objects clean. All right. So I'm only going to do the ones that are being used on the actual firewall policy themselves. Now, it's probably best practice to import all objects, because if they did have objects on there defined, but they were not, if they were not using them, they will delete when you push down your object changes. So something to be careful about. So in other words, if we go ahead and say only the dependent objects, and we suddenly do a push where we do an install, it will sync all of the address objects that were on the FortiManager down to the FortiGate itself, and you'll get some problems there. So anyways, so just something to be careful about. All right. And now our two interfaces here. So it is currently using port 1, port 7. If we go back to our topology map here, it looks like port 1 is going to be our WAN, and our port 7 is going to be our LAN. And we already had those mapped, so we're going to say WAN and LAN, because that's what we're using. So we're going to hit next. And now it's bringing in the policy packages for us to review. All right. Okay. So here we go. And it looks like it came in successfully. And don't forget to download your import reports if you want a record of that for later on. So we're going to hit finish. And as you can see, we have our branch FortiGate initial. Now, why the heck is this modified? Well, that was our provisioning template. So we had not pushed down those changes yet to the actual branch FortiGate. Instead, what we did was we applied the DNS changes to the device manager database. So we still need to do that. But you know what? Maybe this was being managed by a different team, and we really don't know what's going on with that branch FortiGate per se. So let's go ahead and explore that real briefly. Let's go ahead and see what this branch FortiGate is like. So I'm going to double click on branch FortiGate to get its dashboard. All right. And let's take a look here. So not too bad there. All right. Nothing looks too fancy. All right. I wonder what they're using for DNS. Let's see here. All right. So DNS. So it looks like they are using the FortiGuard's DNS. So not a big deal, right? Not a big deal. So let's look at static routes. All right, so they have the default gateway, obviously, or we haven't been able to get out to it. But it looks like they did call their port 1 untrust. So they had their own naming convention, unlike we were using. So if I go to interfaces here, you can see that. Now, will it really matter? Well, we have dynamically mapped WAN and LAN, the ones that we've used before in our group, so it really shouldn't matter what it's called alias-wise. So, but if we double click into that WAN, you can see that the alias here is untrust. So that's what they were using. I mean, if it was bugging us enough, we could change it. But to me, I really don't care. You know what? Their public IP address has HTTPS and HTTP access. Well, that's not good. So let's turn that off. All right. And let's go ahead and see what they're doing here. So at least on their physical side, they have just the ping, which is good. So at least they did that right. But look, they're naming it trust. Oh, okay. And look, they're actually using roles too. See how they define the roles LAN here? That's kind of neat. All right, so not too bad there. Let's see what their policies are like though. So let's go over to our device manager, drop that down to go to policy and objects, and let's see how they configured their policy package. So here it is. Here's the branch office. All right, so, and it looks like they are just using a stateful firewall, allow all to allow all. So that's that's fun. Anyways, so it's close, but not too close. So we'll go ahead and we'll fix that. So in fact, why don't we just do that right now? So like I said, this is just a review. So from what we've already done, and let's start with the device manager side of things. So I'm going to have, see how it says add a sync, and that's because we were poking around on the interfaces names and things like that. So that's okay. We're going to fix that here in just a moment. So, but here though, I am going to make a provisioning template, all right, that we might be able to use in the future. So I'm going to say something like import system template, all right, and I usually do the metadata, but I'm just going to skip that for right now. All right, and then I'm going to double click that bad boy. And remember, we had the peeps using 11119999. All right, let's see here. We don't need our email alerts or NTP server. Actually, you know what? Let's do NTP server. All right. Oh, see how they're not letting us be specific on what time zone? So we might have to change that individually. So, all right. Now with the admin settings here too, we can also change things like the theme, the replacement messages. So that's all good stuff there. All right, we're going to have to set up our VPN tunnel first, so we better not do that. You know what? There's really not anything for me to do right now until we get that VPN tunnels up. So I guess right now it's just the DNS settings. Well, that was kind of lame. Sorry about that, guys. I guess I'll just go ahead and apply this bad boy already to our branch office. So here we go. So branch office, we'll hit OK. All right, and we'll hit apply. And that did. Oh, I guess we already did that too. Yeah, I'm just doing this for review. These videos are horrible, guys. I'm sorry. So, but our policy package, though, that is something that we need to fix. All right, so let's do a couple of things here first. Okay, let's say that our antivirus was the one that we wanted to use across the board. All right, so that is our gold standard. So we're going to have to do a couple of things here to make it work for our new branch office. So for starters, we're going to have to go to object configuration and just confirm that the interfaces did map correctly. So do you see how it says 3 of 3? If I open that up, you can see that it did pull it in when it was coming in. So that's good right there. All right. So not too bad. Sorry guys, my mouse is acting up here. So, all right. All right, and it looks like port 7 did. Oh wait, no, that's the unused one. Where's my LAN? Here we go. And it looks like the LAN side did come through and the WAN side did come through. So we're good there, okay? But there is one place where I promise you we still need to fix some things, and that's going to be our firewall objects and our addresses for our local LAN. So our local LAN needs to add in that new subnet for our branch FortiGates in order for it to work. All right. So we're going to say 10.10.30/24, and we're going to say branch FortiGates local subnet. All right. There we are. Okay. And this way it can go ahead and do the dynamic mapping there. So we're going to hit OK. And I believe for the time being that's really the only thing that that it was dependent on. So all right. But now that that has been dynamically mapped, we can now go to our policy and objects. Okay. And we can now assign our normal antivirus to both of them. So I have no idea why that says modified, but that's okay. we'll address that later. So, in fact, nothing should have changed on that remote FortiGate, so I'm just going to push it down. All right. But do you see how our local FortiGate doesn't need anything to happen to it? So I'm going to hit OK. All right. And now we go to our install wizard. All right. We'll hit next. I don't need my local FortiGate done again. It's already in sync. We'll hit next. And that should come through. Now normally, like I said, you can go and preview each one of these, all right? And I am curious to see what the difference was between the remote one and why it was modified. So, and for some reason, guys, sometimes that happens. For sometimes, you know, there's some kind of like diff number that might be different between the FortiManager and the FortiGate that it's managing, and you might get like a modified or an out of sync, and usually a push or a pull will fix that problem. So here we're doing a push because we know with confidence, you know what, maybe the revision numbers just somehow got out of sync. Maybe I was poking around in it a little bit earlier, like actually on the remote one. So, but let's go ahead and install it. If it errors out, we'll fix it. It'll just be a good opportunity to try. So now don't forget though that you can look at the output and you see how it's deleting all those unused services. All right. And also any duplicate ones too. Okay. So there we go. It looks like our remote FortiGate came out okay. All right. Okay. Let's view our history. There we go. And yeah, so just a little explanation, by the way. It pushes down the settings, all right, and then it does a confirmation with like hashes and checksums. So if for some reason it doesn't get like a verification back from the FortiGates, it will roll back. And I think that's where the little delay is here, is each step that it goes. It applies it, then tests the connectivity to make sure it doesn't go down. So, you know, it's not unnatural or uncommon, unnatural. like there's FortiManagers and FortiGates out in the woods. It's not uncommon to have that take a little bit, especially the first time. So, and as you can see, we actually have everything in sync now. So, and let's go ahead and just make sure that it didn't break any connectivity. Now, because of resource wise, I could only do a VPC, a little virtual PC, because I'm running out of resources on my laptop, but we should at least be able to ping google.com. All right. So as you can see, it didn't break anything. Okay. And we do have everything now in sync and everything does look good. So we just successfully brought in this branch FortiGate. All right. We turned off some management interfaces. So they had management on the WAN, which you should never have in real life. You get slapped for that. But we did leave on the FortiGuard access, or not FortiGuard, the FortiManager access, so we can manage it. All right. We also made a more specific firewall policy, and we used that one firewall policy for all three of these guys. So we've created almost like a baseline. Okay. So now our data center one is going to be done completely different. Okay. So that's going to be pretty much a glorified DMZ, because everything's going to be coming in it from the outside WAN. All right. Maybe when we build our VPN tunnels, I'll do some internal only resources, but I'm just going to bring the data center one in, and there is no policies on that. So let's go ahead and do that next. Okay. So, oops. All right. So let's go back to our Windows machine. Here it is. I tried changing the resolution too. Kind of made everything look a little wacky. Sorry, guys. So, Here we go. So once again, we're going to go to Device Manager. You can relish in the beauty of having all of them synchronized with one package. Okay, and now we're going to add another device. And this one's going to be our data center. Okay, admin, and this is a blank slate. So here we go. So as you can see, we didn't even name the host name yet. So we'll call this data center. FortiGates. All right, system template, we'll do our DNS changes. Okay, go ahead next, and let's bring it in. Okay. And like I said, I'm going to leave this one blank because you're going to see in the next videos coming up here how we can make a new mapping. We can make a new policy package for just one and not the other, so on and so forth. There's more to come, I'm trying to say. So you're going to see here when I go to import it though, all right, there's no policy packages to import. So we have absolutely no policies on here yet, but it did come through. So now why, once again, am I seeing a modified? That's because of our provisioning template that we had for our DNS changes. But if we go ahead and we go ahead and push that down, so I'm going to say install config. Now you got to be careful with install config because it skips the preview and it just pushes it down, but I just know with confidence that you know, it's only those DNS changes that are happening. So you can verify it right here. Once it gets to a certain amount, you'll see it appear. Maybe, if I can catch it. So, all right. Oh, come on, you can do it, buddy. Of course, I'll just start talking. And yeah, it'll start working anyways. And there we go. We can see that the changes were set, and also generated the checksums to make sure that they came over correctly, and we are good to go. So, all right, guys. So that was just a review. Okay. So and that review was essentially us just bringing in our different FortiGates into our environments, and also, you know, using the provisionary templates and things like that. Now, wow, look at that. I wonder why the host name didn't update itself. I thought I changed that. So let me hit F5 on the keyboard and make sure it just wasn't cached. So, oh, yeah, okay. I'm going to have to check that out. Because if you guys remember, I thought I renamed that host name. Huh, interesting. That must have just been the device name on the FortiManager. So here we go. Data center. Oops, FortiGate. There we go. That was my squirrel moment for the day. I'm like, what? And when we go back to our device manager now, we should have a modified, unless you just don't hit save. Jeez, guys, I'm awesome. You know that? So, no, I did save it. Ah, there we go. And look at that. The host name is there. We just gotta push down those settings. So, all right, guys, I hope that was an okay review. There's really nothing there that we didn't cover before. I just wanted to give a additional example, right? Of or just, you know, a couple more reviews of just everything from start to end, from bringing one in to the dynamic mapping of the interfaces, so on and so forth. In the next videos coming up, I'll show you how we can apply some firewall policies to one device and not the other without having to create multiple policy packages. So that's our real big goal, at least is my goal before the end of the weekend. So um, don't blame me if you don't think that was helpful. Sorry guys if that was kind of all over the place. I'm just winging these. I'm not a YouTuber. I just record these for my students who have taken my classes. So, but anyways, so I will see you guys next time, and yeah, see you soon.